It's not working, I assume. Oh, okay, there we go. Well, that's entertainingly several minutes behind. Hi, everyone. Excellent. That's very professional. I'm sure you agree. This is actually the first time we've used this piece of software. It's called Open Broadcast Studio, I think, and we normally use a different one. So hopefully it will all go okay. There's, you know, big team of myself in the studio today. So, hi everyone, thanks for joining me. So a couple of weeks back, I think about a month ago, we got an offer to have an e-bike as a long-term review. So that was cool because a lot of what we get to review are vehicles. We have the Vala e-scooter, which Nikki and Winter are reviewing, but we don't get a lot of the kind of last mile stuff. And so we were really excited by the prospect of actually having something to review that's kind of a last mile kind of thing, or that you can use as a commuter in town. So I also love bikes, which, that I don't get to ride very much. My commute these days is a lot longer than it was when I lived in England. In England, it was like 4 miles. Hi from New Zealand, or hi to New Zealand. Um, and yeah, 4 miles, I could cycle the 8 miles every day on my bike, which is indeed a 1930s BSA bike with 3 speeds on a hub gear. It's lovely, but also it has terrible rod brakes, and I did ride it once in this city, but there's a big slope down into the city centre, and then there's a bit of a slope up to where I live now. And on both sides, the brakes aren't strong enough to actually hold the bike. So, so having something a bit different is pretty good. And what we're going to be looking at today is, let's see if we can make this work. So this is the Fiido D11, um, which is a e-bike with 250 watts on the motor power, and then it's got 3 levels of assist, I think. We'll find out when we open the box. I've just taken the labels off the box and cut the tape. I haven't really had a look in it yet, so this really is a proper unboxing. I have no idea what is in the box other than it's a bike, so I'm told. So we'll be switching over to that in a second and have a look through. But it has an integrated kickstand. It has the 7-speed Shimano gear set, I believe. And then disc brakes front and rear. It's got the nice integrated cables going through the frame, which seems to be a new thing that happens. I mean, cables. It has cables. I'm used to rod brakes, so cables, very exciting. And then it has the battery integrated into the seat post, which looks very neat, along with a light. So in theory, it sounds pretty cool. And it also has a range of allegedly about 100 kilometers on the flat, which is pretty impressive for such a small bike. I'm saying lots of nice things about it. I haven't even seen it yet, but just reading off the specs. Um, and it apparently weighs all of 17.5 kilos. So that is pretty manageable. Yes, rod brakes are a thing. If you've never ridden a bike with rod brakes, rod brakes are a very special experience. Adjusted up as hard as I can get them, they will stop the bike on the level if you're not going too fast. Yeah, but if you're on a slope, then you're probably using your feet to stop. That's what I used to do. Um, but on the other hand, my bike has used nothing but tires since 1930, so that's pretty good. And I actually still have the war grade tires that it came with when I bought it. It's still, I think it probably went to Bristol at the beginning of the war and never went home again. I don't know why, and it came from a second-hand shop, but it still had a tag on that said that it was going to a farm. So I wonder if it came with a land goal. But anyway, enough about my BSA bike. Enough looking at the website. Let's flick over to the. There we go. That's my desk. That's very exciting. I'm sure you're very excited by the prospect of seeing my desk. So this is how it comes. Um, Focus. There we go. So this is the box it came in. My first thought about the box is it's double walled, which is kind of nice. I probably would have liked it to be a little bit thicker, but it did. It's clearly survived transit absolutely fine. And there is a good wedge of foam in there, so that's very nice. That's gonna keep it nice and secure. You've got some padding here to stop it smacking around too much in there. So we've got some boxes. Okay. And some pedals. So I don't know if it has folding pedals. That would be nice, but it doesn't look like it. I don't know. We'll find out when we get it out. What have we got here? So, let's have a look. Ah, lock. Handy. Having lived in big cities most of my life, then having a lock like that is probably not terribly useful. But if you live out in the sticks somewhere, maybe that's okay. Let's see, any questions? Yes, it does seem like e-bikes are coming down in price because this one, I believe, is under $1,000, which was the other reason we were excited to review it. You'll also notice we're inside. That's because the weather's been extremely sketchy today, and I am not moving Rebecca out of the garage for reasons. So yeah, so we're inside on a dust sheet. Very, very fancy high tech setup we have here. Okay, so I think we are down to front fenders. There are some front fenders here, but they are zip tied to everything else. Okay, so we're going to just flick back to the other camera for a second and then we will. You don't understand that the bike thieves out in the sticks have worse tools than those in the city. I think there are just fewer bike thieves out in the sticks. Like when I lived out in the middle of nowhere, I wasn't too worried about locking it. And if I did lock it, then putting one of these around it would probably be fine. When I lived in the city, people often had a go at my bike locks, and they were quite often a bit sad and somewhat bedraggled by the end of the day. Okay, well, if it's 17 kilos, I can lift that. Okay, that would be a bike. All right. There is a small piece of plastic in the bottom of the box. I don't know whether to be concerned about that. So, so let's have a look at what we've got here before I undo it. So again, I mean, it's pretty well packaged in the box. You've got a lot of this, a lot of this kind of foam at each end, which is great. But I think having had some things that have been thoroughly munged in transit, I would quite like to see something a little bit sturdier on that front. Oh, that was helpful. I didn't change back to the webcam. There we go. So, yeah. So, going back to that a second. So, yes, I mean, this is good. Like, it's good thick foam, which is good. But this box is, I think it would probably depend on your luck. But it is also, like I say, it's only 17 kilos, so maybe it's not such a problem. This is how it comes in the box. There was a piece of foam just on top of here, just on the hinge in the head mount, and then there's this piece of card here to stop it rubbing. It does have a serial number on it, which is great. I know some people have had bikes arrive, e-bikes arrive that don't have serial numbers on. It's always useful to have that if you want to register it, particularly to try and stop people taking them for a walk. And looking at this, like the welds are pretty neat. There's no ugly bird splatter anywhere that I can see, which is very, very pleasing on a bike. All right, so somewhere in here I presume there are instructions, but I don't know yet. So let's have a look in this box. Where was it shipped from? It's from Shenzhen. This is a Chinese e-bike. It was an Indiegogo project, I believe. So in here we have a cute little set of Allen keys. They are metric Allen keys. A screwdriver that reminds me of something out of a 1980s Fiat. A 13 and a 15 mil spanner, which that is not not the best looking spanner I've seen in my life. And we have here a little lithium ion battery charger, 42 volts at 1.5 amps. It does have a charging status indicator. It comes with a standard US 2-pin plug. And it's got a regular figure of 8 cable. Is this an international one? 100 to 240 volts AC. Excellent. Okay, so you can take this anywhere in the world and it'll work, more or less. Somewhere where there's power. Okay. It might be the wrench from a Honda Civic toolkit. It's this edge of it that really isn't great. Okay, but I didn't get an e-bike for a wrench, so let's have a look. I think the next thing I'm going to need to do is break out a pair of scissors. So I'm going to flick back. That's not very helpful. You can join me down here. There we go. Start charging while assembling. That is a nice tip. Okay, let's do that. So what have we got here? So this, I'm given to understand, is the battery. 11.6 amp hours, 36 volts. Okay, does it have... It has, actually this is really quite neat. On the back it has a height marker. It's printed, so I don't know whether it would wear off, but let's bring you to the camera so that, because if you're taking it out fairly frequently, which I guess you might be, then being able to put it back without having to adjust it carefully each time would be great. All right, let's see. Comes with a manual. I'm a technical writer. I'm required to look at the manual. That's not very helpful. It tells me it's a lithium-ion charger and I shouldn't do nasty things to it. All right. And thank you to Nikki, because she is here moderating and sorting things out. Let's see. Okay, so live streams, they're very exciting when you're, like, I'm unwrapping a cable. I feel like I should have a camera on my hands to show you unwrapping a cable, but I can't. Don't have that many cameras. So, I'm a genius. I am a genius. There's a little port on this side. I was looking at the back. There's a 3-pin thing there. Wait, that won't fit in that, but it will. It'll fit in this. Okay, good sort. Let's plug that into charge. Okay, so it's heavy, but it's not unbearably heavy. Okay. Ah. And the little red light comes on. And the little red light is on. Well, what will the bike get used for? So I'm going to ride it around the city I live in. I no longer have to commute, but if we do have any events down in Portland, I might take it on the train down to Portland, because it is always nice to take the train down to Portland. I'm a big fan of trains and buses and public transit, and I don't often get to use them because the train service between here and Portland is not great. But sometimes it works out. Tea, very important for assembling things. Okay, so let us unleash the scissors. I wish I'd brought in something a bit chunkier, but I'm going to just use scissors. My aim in this was actually to not have any tools in the house and see whether I needed anything. And so far, I've needed a pair of scissors. Because it says it comes with the tools you need to assemble it. So let's test that. Okay. So then I do like the colour. I think they're all this colour. I haven't seen any that are a different colour. I know they do a range of other bikes, but I do like the colour. Okay. Alright. Right to that. This one's going to be a bit of a sod, isn't it? So, there we go. All right. So far, it's just been undoing some clips, which is very easy to do. Let's put this off, and then, oh, missed one. Okay. So does this lock? This position? No. Okay. So I don't see any obvious way of locking it unfolded. Oh, sorry, folded. Obviously, you can lock it unfolded. Okay. Now, given the absence of instructions, huh. Oh, all right. Well, I've got that far without any instructions. Okay. Do I have hills to test that? Yes, I do. Olympia definitely has hills. Okay. No other questions that I need to answer right now. So, now at the moment, I am trying to solve how you get the handlebars up without overstretching that cable, and I'm not sure whether I should cut this zip tie. There's a little black zip tie here, but it doesn't look like a shipping zip tie. And again, no instructions. So I'm going to do the things I can do. One of them is putting this pedal on. Pedals are labelled left and right, so that's good. Assuming you know which side left is. They are not folding. I have some vague recollection that it might have said they were folding on the Indiegogo, but this obviously isn't actually the Indiegogo one. Around there. I mean, it's the same bike, but it's not not actually an Indiegogo bike. I don't know if they've shipped all of those yet. Okay. Is it the 13 or the 15? It is the 15. Well, the spanner fits. I still think it's not the best spanner in the world, but I have plenty of 15mm spanners. So, and then this one is right. Yes, let's put them on the correct way round. Always a good sign when you put them on the right way round. Okay. Yes, and then okay. On here we have a little display. We have a horn apparently, and a little light control. We've got two brake levers. Okay. And then, do the cables have a quick release too? They do. So these, well, no. So the electrical ones have a quick release on, but the non-electric do not have a quick release either. A quick release on them. So I still have not solved how you get that up, but we'll have a look at that in a second. Finish assembly before we spend ages working that out. Is it just that I'm not being willing enough to stretch it? Oh, I'm just not being willing enough to stretch it that far. Okay. All right. There you go. I'm just not wanting to push it that hard. So, and because I'm old-fashioned and weird, I like having mudguards on my bikes. So I'm quite pleased that it comes with them. Because, yeah, I usually, it's raining here. It rains here a lot. So, are they the same? Not the same. There is also the question of the small black piece of plastic. Oh, screws. Um, which I have absolutely no clue what it's for so far. We will find out. So that also not okay. That would probably also help, having that at least somewhat turned around. So these are all quick release. There's a quick release on the handlebar, quick release here, quick release here. And I will trade back to the other camera once I've got everything attached and we can have a look over the bike. Okay. See, a manual would be really handy at this point because I have this. Huh. Oh, and I still have a block of plastic attached to the side of the bike. That probably doesn't help. And we did test the Rad power bike a while back. There's some great videos from Nikki when she was testing that. Okay, let's have a quick check and see what questions you've been asking. Place zip tie. Oh, the brake's loose that can rotate on there. No, it doesn't show a zip tie there, does it? Okay, well, let's go back to live streamed assembly of a bike with no instructions on how to assemble it. Okay, that I think goes there. Are we all in agreement that that goes there? And then this presumably goes to the front. That seems not unfeasible. And then this one presumably goes on the back. Oh, there's a... How do you get to that, do you think? Huh. I have a bag of bits. This is a bag of bits with some Allen keys. Huh. Ah, okay. So that looks like that goes on there. Okay, let's flick back and I'll show you my bag of bits here. There we go. Okay, so right. So this is clearly intended to attach there. And then I think in much the same manner as my, 1930s bike, this has to attach here, unless... And this one has a clip here, but I don't know which way up this goes. I put that there. This is one of those I need like 4 hands. Excuse me, I'm just going to make you all horribly seasick for a second. Okay, so if I do that, I wonder if there's a picture on their website. Let's go look at their website. Here we go. Here we go. David, so far, I mean, I haven't ridden it anyway, but the welds seem good. Its structure seems fine. The lock mechanism is fairly chunky. I mean, it's currently selling for under $1,000, so I think at that price point it seems very reasonable so far. Apart from, I would quite like a manual of some sort. So FAQ. There was no manual there. I don't remember seeing one. Huh. Okay. I think someone said they'd seen the link. Here's the manual link. Oh, no. If it's not a Brompton, it's crap. That is possibly true. I mean, I'm a big fan of Brompton bikes, but they're also a bit more expensive than this. Huh. Let's see. Let's try that. Oop. Oh no, that is that kind of service center. D11. They do not appear to show it anywhere with the mudguards. Okay, that makes it harder. Let's go wild. What we're going to do now is have a quick look. User manual. Bike diagrams. Yeah, that's very unhelpful. Okay, so no obvious answer there. D11. This is very exciting for you all, I'm sure. This is a thrill a minute as we read through the manual, but I can't. No. Okay. So the manual doesn't tell you how to put that in. Okay. So we're going to. Does this bike become my bike permanently? Possibly. They have not asked for it back. So sometimes companies ask for. You wanted me upside down, didn't you? Sometimes companies ask for manuals back for stuff back at the end of reviews. They've said we can have this on as a long-term review, so so we should have it for a while. All right, so what I'm going to do is guess. So that, I'm pretty certain that at least 2 of those are used to hold in the edges of this part here. Let's put you down a bit lower. So there are 2 screws and washers here, and I think that they probably hold this on the side here. Looking at this, it can't go that way, so it has to go like that, which would tie in with that. So I think it goes that way up on there. Okay, a reasonable view of that. Okay, and then we have this little black plastic clip here, which has a specific way round that it sits. I think it looks like. And then this here. And I'm going to guess that the black screws are the ones that go in this, because then they'll disappear into the black of the mudguard. That is my guess, but I'm not promising. Disconcertingly, there's a 9-lock nut here. I don't know where that goes at the moment, and it doesn't seem to be the right size for that. Oh no, it's the right size for one of the Allen bolts. Okay. If you're waiting for a first ride, there's not going to be a first ride today, because I can't do a live stream where I go outside and hold my thing. And also because I'm not showing the outside of the front of my house with my address on the internet. But there will be next week, probably, or the week after. Within a couple of weeks, we'll do a first ride review of it and see how it goes. Oh, there we go. There we go. Okay, so let's try loosely assembling this on here. So this is one. So then I still have, I wonder if it wants a washer on each side. I think it probably does, because there are more washers here than I know what to do with otherwise. So let's put a washer on each side of this. No. Okay, that doesn't look good. Let's try one washer. All right. All right. And then one on the other side. That is very springy, which is good because my other one is not springy at all. The one on my BSA is very not springy. Huh. That doesn't feel fabulous there at all. Okay. me just checking in, see how you lot are all doing. Yeah, maybe. Okay. That's a good suggestion there, Jim. Let's go and have a look and see. You wanted to see my legs in great detail, didn't you? Let's go and have a good look at that. Huh. I wonder if it does. Would it fit in there? No. Okay, well, before I continue with that, I'm going to look at this one, which is the back one, because if this doesn't fit, oh, that does fit. Oh, okay, I can see where that goes. How do you get that in there then, do you think? It's going to be a challenge. Okay, so it's going to have to go on that way. All right, so that's one. So the other thing I might do, if I'm feeling really excited about it, is I might take it up to Seattle, because that would be fun, and that would give me some good hills to test it on. Alright, so there is a little tiny screw hole, well there's not a tiny screw hole, there's a screw hole under here, and here we go, through there, and I am assuming that attaches there, does it? So I am just trying to blind thread this into the hole, and I'm not having 100% luck in here. It doesn't really seem to be catching on anything. Now, there are two little screws here, and because I'm an excitable sort and they've given me a screwdriver, I'm going to take these two screws off and see what's hiding under here. I may come to regret this, but it doesn't say you can't. It doesn't have a warranty void if removed label. So let's see. What I'll do in a second, if this looks like it's remotely interesting, is that I will turn it around so you can all see it. Nope, nope, that has screws in at the bottom. Okay, so that actually just covers the controller, which is kind of what I figured it was doing, but I was hoping that I would be able to see a nut or something under there. Shall I bring you over so you can have a quick peek at the controller? Come, join me. So under here, see the controller, and this is my challenge at the moment, which is that there is a screw hole there. Well, there's a hole there for a screw, and if you line it up right, there is a hole in the frame up there. You can see the hole, but so far I haven't managed to find a nut or a thread of any sort at the other end of that. So, okay, so the black box I don't think does have anything to do with this, unless you have to undo. it to put the fender on? That seems ridiculous and very unlikely. Let's try, before we put the screws in. But no, that goes all the way through without stopping. Okay. We do have to remove that. That seems wrong. Huh. Yes. And I would attach the other fender to it, but I really can't. There isn't anywhere for the other one to go on, so it's definitely got to go this way round. Now I could remove these screws here, but I don't think that that is the intended route. Though I will say that is not the best screwing I've ever seen, as the bishop said to the actress. Okay. Yes. Okay, so I'm currently a bit defeated on that. Join me. Join me as we go to the back of the bike again. So over here you have one screw here, which holds the bottom of the fender on, and then up here is this little bar, and this is something someone was asking about the build quality earlier, and mostly I've been pretty pleased with it, but this is not the most beautiful bit of build quality I've ever seen in my life. You've got some slightly munged screws, and they were munged before I touched them. And we've got this hole here, which lines up nicely with this rear fender, but there's no thread in there, and there's no way for me to get anything in there. And I've tried a screw in at various angles, and I don't feel anything, so that makes me wonder whether there's something else I should be doing, but I don't have any other means of attaching it. It doesn't come with anything else as far as I can see. Okay, so bit of a pause for a second. Yeah, that's what I'm wondering, is whether I should open that controller box, but the problem is when I open it, I don't know that that screw is going to go back in. And I'm trying not to go get other tools. Oh, feels almost like that's been cross-threaded. Possibly it doesn't even... Is it just being used as a pin, maybe? Huh. Let's try and undo the other one. Try and... Okay. Huh. So it is not at all obvious how this goes on. Not at all, and not at all obvious how it comes off. And with this screwdriver, I don't know that I can actually undo it. And I am reluctant to do that anymore. Okay. So, is there some other way into there? So I may have to leave that until we are not on camera, because otherwise you're going to get bored witless of me staring at things. Oh, we've lost the camera. Let me just go back to the camera because I seem to have managed to lose it. There we go. Yeah, Ed. Yes, there is at the front a screw at the front. I hadn't put this back on because I wanted to double check that that this was the correct one. The one thing that I'm a little sketchy about here is that that is going to be a bend to fit object as it stands. I was hoping it would be a better fit than that, but it does look like that has to be the front fender, and so I will put that on now. So let's shuffle over. We can do that, and then we can do the front fender up, which would be nice, and then we can see how it folds with the fender on, because I have not seen that yet. Okay. Ooh. All right. Let's see. Okay, so we have 50%. They're different. No, they're not. That's all right. Shush. Okay. This one. Alrighty. Okay, so we have 50% of the fenders on the bike, more or less. Just need to get that good and tight. So this is an aluminium frame, apparently. I believe that the original Indiegogo ones were magnesium, or were intended to be magnesium. I don't know if they actually were. I believe that was the plan. So the front one is nice. I like the front one. I'll rate the front one. The back one I'm still working on. So we will put a battery in it. You think it goes at the... Yeah. You think I should take that one out? I could try that one. Let's try that, Jim. Let's try it. Let's try it in the front one and see if it fits better. Okay, so we'll just pop that screw back out. I think actually, remember I did this duck under there. It does. Oh yes, that's much better. Yes, Jim. Jim, many points to Jim. Kudos to Jim. That. So I don't know whether that one at the back has a purpose or whether it's there. Well, it obviously there's a threaded hole. It obviously has a purpose, but I don't know what purpose it serves. Someone who rides bikes much more than me will probably be able to tell you. My 1930s bike doesn't have it on, I'll tell you that. Okay. So, in this case, what I'm having to do is just undo this. It's a bit fiddly because the Allen key they've provided is slightly too short to do that. Can't. Oh, okay. I can now, it's loose. I couldn't do it when I first started. Let's put it that way. Okay. There we go. And that can go there. Right, you're going to have to sit back down for a second. There we go. Want something in between them? Probably not. It's probably fine. It is a bit of a challenge to do all of these at once. Okay. Right, alright. Alright. Do the Allen key. There we go. So you've got a little LED light on the front. Yes. The one on the back is obviously in the seat post. Just cheerfully glowing red at the moment. Waiting to put it on to find out whether when you have it on the bike it is automatically on when the bike is on, but let's find out. And I'll come back to the back seat thing when I'm not on the camera, because I think that's going to take me a little bit to work out. All right. Yes, Jim. I like that much more. Thank you, Jim. All right. That was a good. Not come across like mansplaining, Jim. That was a good tip. Thank you very much. All righty. So now, before I go out, I would obviously check everything is actually nice and tight, but I'm not going to do that right now. We're going to have a little tour of the handlebars, and then I'll put the battery in and we'll see what is what. So you've got a little focus. Or I can just move the camera. We've got a little gear indicator here, and it's cadence-based assist on it. We've got a little throttle, I would guess, on this side, and brake. Got your front brake. And your rear brake, which is good for me, possibly not so good for Americans, because it's the way round that British people think of brakes, I think. If I remember rightly, the rear brake is on the left and the front brake is on the right. I seem to recall that last time I borrowed my friend Nikki's wife's bike, actually. Her bike was the opposite way round, which was exciting. We've got a little light switch just here. And a horn, and then we've got a little screen. So let's see what happens when we plug it all in. Okay, so I'm sure it's nowhere near fully charged, but I'm sure it's got some charge in it. It's probably shipped half charged anyway, or mostly charged. So that's pretty easy to do. I'm not going to worry about adjusting the height right now. Let's say I'm definitely not that tall. Okay, And then you've got a little connector here. In. And that has locked in. It's a little twist lock. All right. Power button. Maybe not power button. Oh, yeah. There we go. So if you can see that. Saying it's that is the horn. Got a little light which turn on and off. Someone was asking earlier if the red light on the back is on. The red light appears to be on all the time unless the bike is switched off. Okay. Takes a little moment for it to come on as far as I can tell. I'm told it has a brake light, so maybe I am wrong. I do not see a brake light, but maybe it only works when you're moving. And it is in kmh. I will have to look at the manual and see if there's a way to switch that to miles per hour, because that would probably be quite useful here. I believe it has a top speed of 15, although I think you can also unlock a higher top speed. So I think that's probably the majority of it. Anyone got any questions before we stop? All right. So no other questions, folks. So yeah, looking at it, like I say, the welds look pretty nice. Apart from this bit at the back here, I've been pretty happy with the way it's designed. This is a little bit flimsy and appears to be held in by screws that are being used as pins, I think, of some sort. They're not, yeah, it's not ideal, but we'll pop that back on in a bit once I've worked out how to do this. But I'm not going to make you sit and endure the next 2 hours of me doing that. It definitely works. Quick test there. So yeah, that is our new long-term review vehicle. It is the Fiido D11, and hopefully we will soon have some exciting footage of me riding around and trying it on some hills, seeing how it does around here, and I still don't know what this is. If anyone has suggestions for what this small piece of plastic is that came with it, I really have no clue. It looks like it is threaded. It is a threaded piece of plastic, but I don't know. Thank you very much to everyone who's been watching today, and everyone who's joined us and is supporting us. Obviously, I don't have the credit roll set up. It is the first time I've used this piece of software, so be gentle. But thanks on behalf of the entire TE crew. Go out to the folks who would normally be on my right, but they are not. And special thanks to our $50 a month patrons, David Janakula, Andrew Martin, Guido Drahoa, Brophy Wolf, Tesla in the Gong, Sean Ueda, Gordon C., Raging Fellows, Anonymous Freak, Jim Burness, Kyle Hodgson, Anthony Coates, Ricky Leong, Brian Newton, Laura Sanborn, Rory Litwin, and Denny Hyde, And our deepest gratitude to our $100 a month patron supporters John Lyons, Marcel Ward, Reggie Watts, JP Fagerback, Will Grayman, Matthew Drobnak, Christopher Jones, Paul Conway, Ellery Hensley, and Ian. And also to the people who joined us today and in the last few days of last week. This is my list from last week, I believe, so slightly out of date. Special welcome to everyone who's joined us recently as a Patreon. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. It makes a world of difference. Um, Without it, we couldn't do the things that we do. As you know, we are trying to fundraise to support us getting a video editor, which will allow us to go back to producing probably videos every day, which is what we'd like to be doing. You'll find links below to Patreon, Bitcoin, and Ko-fi when I put them in, because they're not in just yet. And of course, you can buy your TE swag over at our Redbubble store. Thanks for joining me, and as always,